There are so many systems that need to be transformed to become more sustainable, efficient, and healthy, but there are so many barriers to doing so. So we need to understand how to make these transformations happen and without bad or unjust consequences. And that's one important line of research in the field of sustainability science. So these are two photos taken on the same city block in Los Angeles during the recent fires. So tragically, you can see that these homes burned on the left. And on the right, you can see this home that was made with more resilient materials withstood the fires pretty well. So why doesn't everyone build with more resilient materials? I think, well, there's cost, but I think there's a lot of inertia at play, right? Architects and builders are trained to work with wood and so on. So people who care about solving sustainability problems spend a lot of time focused on problems, and my research focuses on analyzing success to build an evidence base for effective sustainability transformations. So I'm going to tell you about this case, my case study in Prince Edward Island. It starts in the early 2000s with tons of too much pesticide runoff that caused soil erosion and fish kills and other things, and it led to really high social tensions on the island. But it took an impressive turn for the better with a new program that went into effect in 2006. So I'm not going to really tell you how I did it, but I'm going to tell you what I found. Okay, this is the most parsimonious way I can tell the whole story. So there were really high social tensions on the island. For example, the government of PEI was putting all these restrictions on farmers. The farmers were really angry. People were blaming the farmers. So if you look on the left, there was a really strong, urgent desire for change. And at the same time, there was a rise of these payments for ecosystem services programs abroad, which means every year the farmer gets a payment, and in exchange, they do some kind of conservation action on their land. And kind of the right people got in touch with each other, someone from a conservation organization, someone from provincial government, someone from federal government. They worked together at all levels really efficiently and did pilot projects, first in Manitoba, then in Ontario, and then in PEI. And people saw this was good, like different kinds of people. The farmers, the conservation people, the government people kind of all agreed we should do this and we want the PEI government to fund this. And the right person had the premier, who himself was a farmer, on speed dial, and he made this announcement in the speech from the throne, and the program went into effect. So what you can see, the color coding here shows you there's a lot of pink and blue, and basically what I want to show you using the iceberg model is those are the deeper leverage points that actually did come into play. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is you can see some gray shading. And that indicates where relationships were key, and probably without those key relationships, things would not have moved forward. And again, I wanted to say, without that sense of urgency and desire for change, I'm not sure things would have moved forward either. So this is Donella Meadows, and she brought us this theory of leverage points way back in 1999. It's been used in business, and it's a big area of study right now in sustainability science. How can we identify the deep leverage points that with a single, maybe one or two interventions, you could trigger this kind of chain of leverage or a domino effect that could transform a system for the better? So a transformation is something that can overcome the institutional inertia that we talked about. So there are the events, what's happening, the patterns and trends underneath that, how the system is designed, and underneath that are mental models, how we think about the world, what we believe. And I really think that's what was in play in the PEI example. There was a desire for change and that sense of urgency, and people were more open to trying something new in a pretty quick time turnaround. So my single case study in PEI provided evidence to support leverage points theory, and now we need to do that kind of work, analyze successful transformations, hundreds of them, draw out the patterns, and that will empower us to have a solid body of evidence from which to make positive change. Thank you.